You're listening to the CyberWire Network, powered by N2K.
I do carry a smartphone, but I will say this. Location is only on when it's needed and then it gets turned off immediately. Same with Bluetooth, same with Wi-Fi. And the first thing you do when you get any new bit of kit is go through and see what's extraneous and take it out.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the CyberWire's Hacking Humans podcast, where each week we look behind the social engineering scams, phishing schemes, and criminal exploits that are making headlines and taking a heavy toll on organizations around the world. I'm Dave Bittner, and joining me is Joe Kerrigan from Harbor Labs and the Johns Hopkins University Information Security Institute. Hello, Joe.
Hi, Dave.
We've got some good stories to share this week, and later in the show, Carole Theriault speaks with Iain Thomson from the Register about why he has no IoT in his house, along with his advice for those who do.
The start of the year is a great time to take that next step in your education, career, and beyond. Rely on N2K certification prep to provide the tools to help boost knowledge, skills, and confidence to get you there. And now, for a limited time, all N2K certification practice tests are 40% off. Visit n2k.com/certify and use promo code N2KVDAY. That's N2KVDAY to save 40% on your purchase. That's N2K.com/certify with promo code N2KVDAY. Offer ends Monday, February 19th. Happy learning.
All right, Joe, we've got some good stories to share this week. Why don't you lead things off for us here?
Dave, my story comes from businessplus.ie,
Okay.
an Irish website. And, of course, as I'm looking at this, there's an ad to the right to remind me that the last game of the Six Nations tournament is this weekend.
Thank goodness.
And it will have happened by the time this is released. So I'm really excited about this game.
All right.
So, but when this episode drops, everybody will know if I was disappointed or not.
Okay.
But this article is called 10 Social Engineering Techniques Used by Hackers. So it's been a while since we've had an episode where I've talked about the general nature of social engineering.
Yeah.
And I came across this article and was like, this is a pretty good summary.
Okay.
So, of course, I also love lists. So we'll go through this like a list.
Okay.
Number one, baiting, which is where someone uses a false promise to appeal to your greed or maybe your curiosity.
Okay, yeah.
This is not just a social engineering trick, but it's also a marketing trick. You see on all kinds of websites, clickbaiting.
Right.
You know, you see the headline trails off with a little ellipsis, those three little dots.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, Brooke Shields said, what? What did Brooke Shields say?
Right.
That's what it is.
Right, yeah.
That's the curiosity
I've heard that
part.
refers, I've heard it referred to as the information gap.
Right.
I think YouTubers use this all the time. You know, you won't believe what happened when we did this.
Right.
What happened? Wait, I need to know what happened.
Really, when I believe it, I'll bet I do believe it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my response to these things. I've become so cynical that this baiting really doesn't work on me, at least not for the information gap.
Right.
But greed, I do have a little bit of greed in me.
Okay.
So I've got to be careful to watch out for people that promise returns, right? Another great example is an infected memory stick. That's another thing. I don't really think I fall victim to that one because I do have a process for that. It involves a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
Taking a look at things. And if everything goes south, I'll just pull the disk out and rewrite it.
Okay.
Which you can do with a Raspberry Pi. It's nice. Next, pretexting. Pretexting is the story that they tell you. It says here, an attacker uses a made-up scenario to provoke an employee to disclose sensitive information. I like to say that it's the story they tell you to get you into the right mindset. Because if I called you on the phone and said, hey, Dave, I'm a scammer and I'm going to try to take all your money out of your bank account, you'd be like, well, goodbye.
Right.
But if I call you and say, hey, Dave, I'm from your bank and we need to log into your bank account because there's some fraud going on here.
Yeah.
Now I have your attention.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's the lie. A watering hole attack, which is where the attacker, this is not really a social engineering attack, but it does rely on people behavior, the behavior of people.
Yeah.
So what they do is they will get a website that they know a group of people go to where they want to gain ingress into that group. Like, let's say it's an employee group.
Right.
or a software engineering group or something like that. They will exploit a vulnerability in there that lets them perform some kind of malicious activity when the people they want to target come to that site.
Okay.
Quid pro quo.
Yes.
This is an attack that relies on someone's sense of reciprocity. I did something for you, now you have to do something for me. This is actually an intelligence technique as well. They use this a lot in intelligence gathering.
Yeah.
So basically, whatever it is they will ask for assistance after somebody's been really nice to you.
So you'll feel obligated to help because they did something for you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Scareware. We see this a lot. In fact, I actually landed on a scareware site yesterday.
Really?
Yep. And right there in the middle of the office where I work with a bunch of other security engineers, my computer started saying, "Caution, your computer has been detected."
It started saying it out loud?
It started saying it out loud through the
Wow.
speaker system of my computer.
I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah, it was really embarrassing.
I'll bet.
I was looking something up. I was trying to find a quote from somebody. And I went to some site that said it had quotes in the Google searches, and this is what I got.
Could have been worse. Could have been
much-
porn.
It could have been. Had that happen too.
Yeah.
That's awful. My boss standing right behind me.
Yeah.
Oh, he laughed and turned away, and I was so glad he was understanding. But yeah, scareware is just what it says. Tries to scare you into action, and that's exactly what this was. It was very difficult for me to close the browser too.
Oh yeah.
I was surprised by that.
Ugh.
For physical penetration of organizations, a really effective means is tailgating or piggybacking. Right? Now, this is like you have badged access to somewhere, and because we are polite beings, we have said that when we're walking in, we hold the door for people.
That's right.
Right? Well, not in a secured area. And in fact, I've been employed by places where they say if somebody else is coming in behind you without swiping their badge, you're supposed to tell them, swipe your badge.
Yeah.
Go back out and swipe your badge.
Yeah, but there's a lot of, I guess, normal social norms in any place other than a secure location makes that hard to do.
It does.
Right.
A great trick with this is that social engineers will use is they will have their hands full.
Yeah.
And how you get around that is you say, oh, you have your hands full. Let me hold your stuff, and you go ahead and swipe us in.
Right.
That's you turn the tables on them. Next is one of my least favorite terms, phishing. Right.
Oh, okay.
It's just calling in on the phone. And running a scam. It's a phone scam is all it is. It's the same thing as a scam when somebody walks up to you, except it's on the phone.
Right.
Shoulder surfing. Now, that's a technique that is used to gather things like passwords and things of that nature, or to see what's going on in a website that you might have information. You might get information disclosed to you that you're not entitled to get.
Yeah.
And this is really simply just standing behind somebody and watching what they're doing.
I've heard of this happening at ATMs, gas pumps, and anywhere you have to put in your PIN.
It's a great way to get a PIN.
Yeah.
It's also it can be easily overcome by using multi-factor authentication or strong passwords. Although I really think multi-factor is the way to go. Next, they have on this list, and this is an old one that I haven't thought of in a long, long time. Dumpster diving.
Oh.
When was the last time you thought about dumpster diving as a means of extracting information for social engineering purposes?
It's been I don't know that I've ever thought of that.
Oh, really?
But I've certainly, in my younger days, I certainly did my share of dumpster diving because I loved electronic gadgets.
Right.
And dumpsters were often great places to find things that other people didn't need anymore, but could be of great use to me.
Sure.
So, yes, I have found frightening things on people's discarded computers that they did not know they were throwing away.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Whenever I'm throwing away a computer, I take the hard drive out and I take the platters out and smash them with a hammer. Now, I thought I was nuts for doing this, but I heard another one of my coworkers doing that with the chips on a SSD recently. He was just hitting them with a hammer in his office. I walked in there. What are you doing? He says, I'm just destroying this hard drive. I'm like,
oh,
yeah, I feel vindicated.
Okay. Very good.
Now, keep in mind, I work in a security company. So
yeah.
It's these are the kind of people. And the last list last item on this list, rather, not the last list on this list. The last item on this list is deep fakes, which are essentially synthetic media. We've talked about them a lot in this show.
Yeah.
In the past, I have said I was not too terribly concerned about this, but I am very concerned about this for the upcoming election cycle.
Oh,
I think, the audio that you played me a
Right.
couple episodes ago, people can go back and listen to that. That is remarkable and how good it is. And it's only going to get better from here.
Yeah, well, we saw a story recently where a researcher was able to log into his bank account using a synthetic version of his voice.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
Here we go, everybody.
But I'm with you. I mean, up until that point, I was pretty skeptical of it.
Right.
Especially the notion of using deep fakes for any kind of real-time interaction. But I think we're at the point now where that's plausible.
Yeah, it's
And
definitely plausible.
The stories are starting to come in where people are doing that. So
Yep.
I'm not sure how we get around that one, but it's certainly one to keep an eye on. All right. Well, we will have a link to that story in our show notes. My story this week, actually, I'm kind of using a press release from the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, as a point of departure for us here.
Okay.
So the FTC just finalized an order. They required the makers of Fortnite, the Epic Games
Epic
folks,
Games, yes.
Yep, to pay $245 million for tricking users into making unwanted charges. So we're talking about dark patterns today, Joe.
Huh.
So the FTC has a settlement with Epic, and basically they're saying that Epic had all kinds of dark patterns in their games to get people to make unintended purchases in the games. They also said that Epic made it way too easy for children to make purchases while playing Fortnite without requiring any consent from their parents.
Huh.
And then also, Epic, according to the FTC, if you disputed unauthorized charges on your credit cards, Epic would lock you out of your account to play the game. So the commission voted 4-0 to, I guess unanimously would be the way to say that, to approve this fine against Epic. But it really speaks to this notion of dark patterns, which is really what I want to dig into here today. In gaming, I went and actually looked up some of the methods that they were using in Fortnite here. And in gaming, a lot of the dark patterns will be, like, let's say, for example, you're playing a game and you want to buy some coins to use in that game.
Right.
Right.
In Fortnite, those are called V-Bucks.
Okay. So you go to buy those, and there'll be a selection, there'll be a spectrum of things you could choose.
Right.
But the one they really want you to choose is already highlighted.
Right.
It's ready to go.
Yes.
Right? It's there.
It's the one with the most coins and the biggest profit.
Right. And that's the dark pattern. They're making it easy for you to do the thing that is in their best interest and not necessarily yours.
Huh. I think about this, and when I signed up for Fortnite, I knew it was free to play.
Yeah.
But I could buy some V-Bucks that would let me play with to get the rewards for the season. That's how they do this. You pay a 950 V-Buck price to play for the season, and in the season you will get more V-Bucks.
Okay.
Usually around 1,500 V-Bucks.
Okay.
But for some reason, I purchased the 5,000 V-Buck package, not the 1,000 V-Buck package, which would have been the minimal amount I needed to buy. My reasoning was that the 1,000 V-Bucks was $10, but the 5,000 was like $25.
Okay.
But I don't know I wonder if I fell victim to this now, Dave. See, now you got me second guessing myself.
You may have.
Because I still have 5,000 V-Bucks on my Fortnite account.
Right. Right. And that's how they get you.
That's how they get you.
Yeah. So there are lots of examples of this. I was doing some other, looking around, poking around for other examples of this. And I think one that we probably all know about is when you want to get something done, and let's just say it's something like a PDF reader or something
Right.
like that. You want some little innocuous utility that you have some sort of technical itch that you need to have scratched.
Yes.
And you want to do it quickly. You want to do it now. You want a single function tool that'll just do that thing.
Right. So you go to the website with the box of software pictures on the site.
Right. And so you go to, let's just say I'm on my mobile device and I go to Apple's App Store and I say, I need a PDF reader, and I search for it and the thing comes up and it says, good news, right? Here is a free to use PDF reader just for you. Install it and all your problems will be solved.
Right.
And I think to myself, this is great. And so I sign up and I install it. And somewhere along the lines, in the microscopic print, chances are it said, this item is free to use for 5 days. After that, you'll be charged $5.99 a minute. Right. For us, usually it's like, it's usually something like $10 a month or $5.
Right.
But I've seen ones that are even $50 a week.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And they work off of the notion that you're either not going to notice right away.
I'm going to notice $50 a week, Dave.
Well, but so that's a really good point. So some of them will try to keep it below a threshold where you're going to notice.
Right.
You're going to notice $50 a week, but you might not notice $5 a month. That might be below your noise floor of, is this worth my time?
Yep.
Right? And so let's say they get you for $5 a month. And how long is it going to take you to notice that they're bleeding you for $5 a month? They're hoping you never notice.
Right.
And you pay $5 a month for the rest of time.
If I can get 1,000 people to do that, that's $60,000 a year.
Exactly. And so they're counting on the fact that you're going to forget. Now, my way around this typically is I'll set a reminder for myself.
Right.
at the 4-day mark or something like that to disable the software. Or I'll use it for what I'm using it for, immediately opt out and
be done with it.
Yes, and be done with it. I will say to their credit that Apple is very good about putting a stop to this. So they actually are a helpful middleman when it comes to this sort of stuff. Not so helpful that they don't allow the vendors to do this, but because Apple gets a cut of it, of course.
Of course, 30%, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's the same on any of these platforms. But so anyway, that is the one that I think we're probably most familiar with, that we run across, from time to time. I also came across a website that I will include a link to in the show notes, and it's called Deceptive Design. And it is a website that is dedicated to this stuff. And they have a section on their website called the Hall of Shame, which is just delightful if you're into this stuff. They collect a list of places where people are doing this. I'll just read a couple of them. There's one here from an airport where after you prepay for parking, you hit a button that seems to be a continue button, but it actually tricks you into subscribing to unrelated services. Nice.
Yeah.
Right? Things like Skype tricking you into uploading your entire address book.
We talked about that last week.
Yeah. Has a dialog box that has no option to refuse. That is just infuriating.
Well, how do you not do that then?
Well, that's the thing. Right? Instagram doesn't allow you to keep your account deactivated. It reactivates your account and doesn't allow you to deactivate it again. It says, sorry, you can only disable your account once a week. Try again in a few days. Isn't that great?
That makes me want to... No, it's not. I was going to say something violent, but I'm not going to say something... Well, I want to punch somebody in the face, and I was going to name somebody, but I'm not going to do it.
Right.
Everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so that's... But... the thing is, you read these things and you think, how could this be so? How could it be this blatant? How could it be, and how could people fall for this? But they're designed for you to fall for them. They're so clever. They're so backhanded or underhanded, I guess is the word I'm looking for, that the odds are against you here. So anyway, I will include a link to this Deceptive Design site in the show notes. I think it's worth looking through. This is one of those things it's worth sharing with your friends and family because these things are everywhere. And I think it's really great that in this case, the FTC has cracked down on Epic Games to say, knock it off. There's real money at stake here. Hopefully some of the other big players who are doing this sort of thing will see what's going on here.
Yeah, that's $250 million fine.
Yeah.
What does Epic make in a year?
I don't know. I mean, it seems, who knows? I mean, it seems to be, that is a chunk of cash that I think would get any company's attention, but I don't know. It might be 1% of their proceeds. Who knows?
Just a quick Google search. In 2021, their revenue was like $5.7 billion. So that is significant.
Yeah.
It's about 5% of their annual revenue.
Okay. So real money.
Yep.
Real money to them. But again, hopefully other organizations will see this and, an internal memo will go around that'll say, let's stop doing this. But
right.
I doubt it.
I'd like to know how far back this goes because recently Epic changed the way you get things in Fortnite so that you have to press and hold the mouse and fill a bar up to purchase an item. And I'm wondering if that is a result of this case. And I remember being impressed with that, going, oh, this is pretty cool. Now I can't just accidentally purchase something.
Right.
And maybe that's a result of this FTC judgment.
Yeah, could be. My recollection is that this stuff really started to take off when we had all of those free-to-play games filling up the app stores.
Fortnite is free-to-play. You don't have to pay anything to play it.
Right.
So you can, and you even get a couple free V-Bucks. Eventually, you can start buying the Battle Pass with them.
Yeah. So
there's Joe's cheap guy tip of the week.
So we will have a link to both the FTC's announcement here and then also that Deceptive Design website where you can check out their Hall of Shame.
That's a good website, by the way. It's got some awesome stuff in it.
Yeah. All right, Joe, it is time to move on to our catch of the day.
Dave, our catch of the day comes from Lauren, who writes, hope you guys are doing well. I very much enjoy listening to your podcast. I work in accounting or finance for a startup, and we received a pretty decent phishing attempt today. I've changed the names here and added employee titles to their names to emphasize that the scammer seems to have successfully gathered the information regarding who to contact in our organization. So it's actually a series of messages, Dave. So why don't you read the first message that comes in?
Okay. So this is from the scammer.
Right.
Via an external email address, and it has the contact name of their CEO.
Correct.
And it says, Chelsea, AP accountant, kindly inform Audrey, VP of Finance, that it is imperative to pay this invoice urgently. Let me know if you receive the attached files. I will need a wire transfer confirmation receipt as soon as the payment is made. Best regards, Jeffrey Lehman, CEO, Chief Executive Officer at redacted company name.
Right. Okay, so now those titles were put in by Lauren.
Okay.
So that's to make it clear.
Yeah.
So the first message that comes in contains an attachment that reads as follows.
Okay. Please find attached the invoice which contains the cost breakdown of the work completed with our bank wire information along with the W-9 form. Payment terms due on receipt. We will need a confirmation as soon as the payment is sent out via wire transfer, and do not hesitate to contact us via email with any questions. Kindly confirm the receipt of my email with the attached files. Attached is a legitimate appearing invoice and W-9.
Right. Now, W-9 is a request for validation of your EIN number.
Okay.
So it looks like not only are they sending you an invoice, but they're also asking you to fill out a W-9.
Okay.
Which is, I don't know what the tax implications are here. I'd have to talk to my son about this because he's the accountant in the family now.
Okay.
But anyway, it looks like that's an opportunity for more identity theft or more corporate fraud here.
Yeah.
But Chelsea then responds to the scammer like this.
Hi, Jeff. I have received and entered the information. I will pass it on to Audrey for approval and let her know the urgency, but we do not currently have the funds to pay that. Kind regards.
To which the scammer then replies,
Chelsea, how much do we have in our checking account at the moment? I need to know before you send it to Audrey. Best regards, Jeffrey, CEO.
Right. So here at this point, the AP accountant responded with the current bank balance that was in the current amount that was in the balance and said, or in the bank, and said, we also have a huge payroll. We're expecting to cover payroll coming up at the end of this week.
Yeah.
And that would not leave enough cash to fund this incredibly high wire transfer. So be mindful of that. There's the attacker wants to know how much money is in the account, and they know now that they have payroll coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And what does the scammer say in response?
Yes, I am very much aware of the payroll. Please send the invoice to Audrey for approval and ensure that it is paid promptly. I am expecting an international wire transfer this evening, so rest assured that the payroll will be sorted. I am eagerly awaiting the confirmation of the wire transfer.
So at this point, the AP accountant forwards this email to the vice president of finance, Audrey, in this pseudonym of Audrey, who noticed the phrasing of the email was a little weird and that the email was coming from an external address that was not the CEO's. So she reaches out to the CEO, and the CEO goes, yeah, that's not me, and it gets nipped in the bud.
Wow.
Okay, so a pretty good example of process being followed here.
Yeah.
Lauren says, I'm still pretty puzzled how they got the correct names of the people who would be responsible for this in our organization. My guess is LinkedIn.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
Right?
Yeah.
That they went to LinkedIn, they clicked on the company, and they found everybody that worked there. They found who the VP of finance is. They found an accounts payable accountant, and they know this. Then the person they're going to impersonate, they knew all that stuff before they went in.
Right.
So they send the email to the essentially lower level accountant as the CEO, invoking the name of the VP of finance that the lower level accountant probably works for and interacts with on a daily basis. And then continued along with this process that was actually successful for a period of time.
Yeah.
Lauren says she also finds it fascinating that they asked the current bank balance. This is another common thing that actually goes back from check scams, right? If you get a hold of someone's checkbook and you write yourself a $10,000 check, then, or let's say you write yourself a $1,000 check, and you walk into a bank and you say, here's a $1,000 check this person has written me. And the person says, well, they don't have $1,000 in their account. And you go, well, how much do they have in the account? I can deposit the money to cover it and get it out. So let's say they have $500. So you say, I'll put $500 in, and then I'll take the $500 out and settle up with the $500 for the person later. Right? That's a it's a common old scam. I don't know if it still works anymore. But
Right.
It was one of the ones that used to work back in the days of check cashing scams. They're probably still around. So the scammer here is asking what the bank balance is because they need to know how much money they can get out of the company. That's why they're asking that question.
Yeah.
Finally, Lauren notices that the person really projected a lot of I'm the CEO confidence with, yes, I'm very much aware of the payroll.
Yeah.
In the response. I agree with that 100%. That kind of comes off as intimidating. And you might hear that might be what you hear from the CEO.
Right.
And then they come up with a plausible explanation as to why they're not worried about it. We got another international money transfer coming in this week. It's all going to be good.
Yeah.
These guys are perfectly happy to screw everybody at this company out of their paychecks. That's what I wanted to come to. That these people are horrible people. They are monsters, and they are perfectly fine taking everybody's paycheck from them and jeopardizing the ability for them to live their lives.
Well, and I think it also demonstrates the degree of professionalism with which they operate. Right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
They know their stuff here, and good on the things that this organization put in place to stop it. Because you could very easily see how this could have gone through.
Correct. And I want to thank Lauren for sending this in, and I hope that Lauren may not also be your real name, but if it is, thank you, Lauren.
Right.
Even if it isn't, thank you.
Yeah. And we would love to hear from you. If there's something you'd like us to consider for the show, you can email us. It's hackinghumans@thecyberwire.com. Joe, it is always great to welcome Carole Theriault back on the show. And this week, she is speaking with Iain Thomson from the Register. They're talking about smart tech in the home and how Iain shies away from IoT devices. Here's Carole Theriault.
Today, listeners, I have the pleasure of speaking with Iain Thomson, a seasoned tech journo at the Register, and a person I've known for decades.
I was going to say quite literally decades in our case.
Yes. Now, there are many interesting things about Iain, but one of them is rather than surround himself with all the latest smart tech, like 99.999% of tech journalists I know do, he says that actually he refuses to have smart tech in his home. And today, I thought together we would find out why. So, Iain, welcome. Can't wait to dive into this.
Always a pleasure to chat. And if I'm going to be held out as the global Luddite, I shall wear it with pride.
Excellent. No, I'm on the fence, right? I'm half Luddite, half keen, and I sit there, so I'm interested. I could be pivoted. So first, maybe, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about you, your background? Who is Iain Thomson?
Oh, God. Well, okay, we've only got 20 minutes. Born of the god Zeus, and I've been covering technology in one way or another for about the last 30 years. Still have my first computer, a ZX81 for that matter, although the RAM pack long since died, so it's pretty much useless. I love technology. I love finding out about new things about it, particularly like the security field, because it's constantly changing and constantly evolving. I have had, I'm one of the few people, I think, on the planet who actually used a Creative Nomad for more than 5 minutes, back when MP3 players were a thing. Built my first computer when I was still in my teens. And yeah, I mean, I love technology, but this whole smart devices and Internet of Things thing is just apprehensive, simply because I've been covering the security beat for so long, and I know how insecure these devices are. And I don't, frankly, trust the companies that make them that much.
Hold on a sec. You do have your tech cred. So not only have you done all these things, but you've written what? How many articles? Do you think you've hit 1,000 yet?
Oh, no. For the Register, I'm coming up to 5,000.
5,000! Listeners, that is a lot.
I've been there 12 years. So, well, I mean, before that, at the late and little lamented vnunet.com, I was doing 4 articles a day, but that was really churn and burn. Yeah. But I mean, for that, you need good hardware, and I'm very picky about the computers I use.
And also, like, your living condition. Do you live on your own? Do you live with other people?
I live with my wife and a very aggressive cat.
Okay, so we have this serious tech journo, who's been in the industry for 30 years. You love tech, but no IoT in the house.
No. I've got these things called fingers. They're really good. If I want to adjust the thermostat temperature, I can go and press a button or rotate a dial, as it was in the last house.
Are you jealous of the people that can do it from their car?
Not really, because I just don't see the point. It doesn't have a convincing use case, and given the potential problems with it. Plus, I don't like the idea of having something in the house that listens all the time.
So it's a privacy concern, primarily, do you think?
It's certainly a privacy concern, but it's mainly, I just don't see the use case for it by and large. I mean, at first, I have to say, when Google Assistant came out, I was kind of like, and when Siri came out, I was trying those left, right, and center.
Right.
But then I started to notice that, because I'm an Android user, and I started to notice that when I was saying okay to someone in conversation, the screen would light up and it would say, okay, Google, right, but tell me something that's, that needs to be done. And that started me thinking about, well, hang on, how could this be abused? Do I really need it? No, I just turned it off, and I've kept it that way ever since. I'll still do voice searches on some items, but you have to physically turn it on. I don't want it, listening all the time. And this doesn't suggest that, I'm murdering people in the house or anything, but it's just...
I know. Isn't that the weird thing, right? If anyone requests privacy in their life, like, why? What are you hiding? What's wrong with you?
The simple answer to that is, do you have curtains? It's like, well, yes. It's like, well, why are you doing nothing to hide, surely? And it's just like, yes, but people like privacy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just one of those things. I mean, was kind of tempted by getting...
here we go.
Getting outside video cameras. One for the inside of the front door, just for security.
Oh, it's crouching. It's getting close there to the boundary, isn't it?
Yeah, but then, Amazon announced deals with US law enforcement that they could hand over your footage at any time. And it was like, do I really want to be part of a huge surveillance network? So I'm keeping my eye out for an open source, non-corporate security camera system that I could set up and run myself. all that's going to take is a couple of weeks of free time and an awful lot of research.
Or a very knowledgeable listener. Please feel free to get in touch with Iain Thomson. Yeah.
Oh, yes. If any listeners have any problems, by all means, drop me a line.
But okay, you have a phone though, right? And you carry your phone with you all the time. And that is definitely the quintessential IoT smart device, really, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it has been one of the most ridiculously humorous things about the anti-COVID people over here. So it's putting microchips in you to to track you underneath. Sent from my iPhone. You just paid $1,000 for your own spying device. I do carry a smartphone, but I will say this: location is only on when it's needed, and then it gets turned off immediately. The same with Bluetooth, same with Wi-Fi. Quite strict about keeping handsets locked down. And the first thing you do when you get any new bit of kit is go through and see what's extraneous and take it out.
I want to ask you about if I may, about your partner. Does she share the same mindset as you?
She's not that bothered either way, to be honest. She too was slightly freaked out by the listening in thing. If they could get a convincing use case, if she could actually... The one use case, which I haven't shown her because I know she'd be way too tempted for, but a friend of mine has an automatic cat feeder with a camera in it and a microphone, so he can call the cat to the cat feeder and feed it on time. I think she might go for that.
And that's like exactly the kind of kit that would be more likely to have security flaws, simply because it's an industry so far removed from that of, cyber and IT security, isn't it?
Exactly. And it's the last thing they think about.
Right.
Okay, case in point. I went to a DEF CON briefing a few years back where they looked at smart home locks, the where you come in and you press the app and there's no to get your key out. Out of 12 smart locks, 11 were broadcasting the code in plain text. All you needed to do is stick a receiver on a bush outside the house, wait for the person to come home, and you got the key to the house. The one that did actually encrypt its signal was so flimsily built you could open it with a screwdriver. I take physical security seriously, but also data security. And
yeah,
I think, as I say, I've written an awful lot of stories about these IoT devices that security, it's kind of Windows 98 levels of security. It just wasn't built with that in mind.
Well, listeners, please tweet at the CyberWire if you have any use cases that you think might change Iain's mind. Iain Thomson, journalist at The Register, thank you so much for sharing your IoT fears. This was Carole Theriault for Hacking Humans.
Joe, what do you think?
My favorite term? Global Luddite. I was worried about my Ludditeness. Is that a word? I don't even know. Ludditude. I could go on about this. I won't. But I was worried about me being perceived as a Luddite last week and talking about that when I was worrying about cloud technology. One of the things I absolutely love is that Iain's first computer is a ZX86. Or 81, rather. I still have my ZX81, the old Timex from Sinclair.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
It was, did you ever have one of those?
I did not. No, my first computer was a TRS-80.
Okay.
But, at the same time, I certainly remember them.
Yeah, real keys on the TRS-80.
Yeah. We were living large. Yeah.
The ZX81 just has like what they called a peanut butter keyboard.
The membrane. Yeah.
Yeah, the membrane. It was terrible.
It was.
But you could enter entire basic commands with one keystroke.
Mm-hmm.
That was nice.
Mm-hmm.
Iain makes a really good point that the use case for a lot of these things is just not convincing enough. And he also says that he doesn't trust the companies that make these smart things.
Yeah.
And those two go hand in hand for why I don't have very many IoT things in my house either.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have an Alexa device. I do have a Google Home thing, one of those Google Home speakers, still in the cellophane.
Okay.
Somebody gave
doing
it to
a lot
me.
of good.
Yeah. Somebody gave it to me. I don't want to set that thing up. I remember when Alexa came out and I went to my wife and I said, hey, look at this cool thing. We'll be able to talk to it.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife is like, I can't believe you of all people wants to put a bug in your house. I'm like,
good point.
That's right.
Right.
I have turned off my Google Assistant as well, but not because of privacy concerns, although it's kind of a benefit. I have found that the product is just a terrible product that does not work. It is garbage from front to back. It never gives me the right answer to any question I ask, and I hate it. So that's why I got angry one day and turned it off.
All right. Never looked back.
I said, you know what? And I'll enjoy the privacy. Thank you.
Yeah.
I still do have my location settings on.
Mm-hmm.
I share my location with my family.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a use case for that.
Yeah.
That I see value in. But I like his comeback to the question about why do you want all this privacy? What are you afraid of? And his comeback is simply, do you have curtains on your house?
Mm-hmm.
You know, well, what are you afraid of?
Mm-hmm.
That's a great analogy, a great analogy question.
Yeah.
I love it. It's awesome. I'm going to use that. There's something here that Iain touches on, and I think it deserves a little bit more exploration here.
Okay.
If you want a camera system in your house that isn't essentially out-of-the-box government surveillance, like for law enforcement,
right,
like with the Ring camera or anything else,
right,
you need to spend a lot of time and research and probably a lot more money building a system that will do everything the Ring already does.
Yes.
So that's kind of the value proposition of the Ring doorbell and all these other surveillance devices.
Right. It's easy.
It's easy.
Yeah.
You don't have to spend the time doing that. All you have to do is give us all your private information, let us show everything we want to show to law enforcement, and you're all done.
Right.
Right? Ooh, it sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
So I still don't have a camera on my house either. Not yet, anyway. I will soon, though. I am looking into the standalone solutions that don't upload things to the cloud, or maybe upload things to my own private cloud.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems like a good compromise.
Right.
I would certainly want to make sure that if I had something cloud enabled, that it was somehow encrypted and that the provider wasn't able to decrypt it.
Yeah, that would be an important distinction.
Yeah.
Right. That you upload these things and that they remain private to you even after they go up to the cloud.
Right. That would help keep the opportunity for law enforcement to rifle around your video recordings.
Right.
Right.
I do have a smart TV.
Yeah.
And a couple of Fire Sticks in those smart TVs. I don't like them. I don't like that I have them.
Right.
The Fire Sticks don't listen all the time. And my smart TV does not have the microphone enabled. I've disabled that.
Okay.
But the Samsung, it's not a Samsung. One of my favorite things was the Samsung terms and conditions at one point in time said, don't have private conversations around the TV.
Okay, sure.
And I was like, what? That can't be real. That was real.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Iain goes on to talk about his Samsung headphones. I have a pair of LG earbuds right here in my hot little hands, Dave.
Yeah.
That I got off of Amazon. I said, because I needed a pair of earbuds for my laptop.
Okay.
Because I got sick of trying to connect everything to one laptop. But then it says, try it on your phone, and all these other cool features come on. And I install the app on the phone, and it goes, oh, here's all the permissions we need. And I was like, I see. It was a very similar condition.
Right.
I don't use them for my phone. I only use them for my laptop. I use a very cheap pair of headphones that don't have any apps associated with them for my phone.
Yeah.
I don't know that it collects any information or sends it back to the country of origin. Maybe it does. Who knows? But
you know, it's an interesting point because all of a sudden those Apple AirPods, they're not seeming so expensive anymore.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Right.
What do they cost? $200 for a pair?
I think they start at $100,
$100
and go up from there as much as you want to pay.
Right.
But
how much would you like to pay?
Yeah,
I'd like to pay $3,000, says Dave Bittner.
Yeah, we have a pair for you for that. Sure, right. Step right up. But that's real. I mean, that's part of I think you and I have talked about this. That's part of why smart TVs have gotten so cheap.
Right.
Because they have a way to make money on the back end.
Right. All the data that they provide.
Yeah.
You know, wouldn't it be great if I could just buy a 55-inch monitor that doesn't have any of that intelligence built into it and put my own computer into it?
Yes.
Sure, that's going to cost you $5,000.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Or I can pay a tenth of that, literally a tenth of that, to get a 55-inch TV.
Yep.
That does everything else. Maybe I just, you know what? The simple solution is just don't connect it to the internet.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I seriously, I think we're coming to the point where some of these devices, they will not be functional if they're not connected to the internet.
Yeah, Iain was talking about that. He was saying some of the devices were bricked when they were disconnected from the internet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
That's awful.
Yeah, that's unconscionable. That should be something that the FTC finds somebody for.
There you go. There you go.
On the privacy front, there's an interesting conversation about the consolidation of all these different companies, like Amazon buying a health insurance company, and Whole Foods, and other organizations. And there's all kind. Roomba. Roomba is one.
Oh yeah.
That, I had never been happier that I had skipped out on buying a Roomba in my life than when Amazon bought Roomba as a company.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I dodged a bullet there.
Give Amazon a map of the interior of your home.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And, I know that we sound like paranoid nut jobs and tinfoil hat wearers when we say that, but that's exactly what the information they're going to have.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. We laugh because otherwise we would cry.
Right, correct. It was a great interview. I really love having Carole on the show, and Iain is awesome.
Yeah. Again, our thanks to Carole Theriault for bringing that great interview to us. We always love having her back on the show. And that is our show. We want to thank all of you for listening. Our thanks to Harbor Labs and the Johns Hopkins University Information Security Institute for their participation. You can learn more at harborlabs.com and isi.jhu.edu. The Hacking Humans podcast is proudly produced in Maryland at the startup studios of Data Tribe, where they're co-building the next generation of cybersecurity teams and technologies. Our senior producer is Jennifer Iben. Our executive editor is Peter Kilpie. I'm Dave Bittner.
I'm Joe Kerrigan.
Thanks for listening.